So this could be the year that Roger Federer is no longer the greatest on grass. Can't see him beating Novak on grass. I can't see that. He's not good enough yet.
What I want to know is, what is the head-to-head record between Swiatek and Rybakina?
Talking about Swiatek as being the promising one for being in charge of everything, and yet she's not beaten one of her main competitors more times than she's been beaten by her.
How many Wimbledon semi-finals has Andy Murray made over the years?
I don't think he's going to win it, but I do think he could do quite well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get to the third round.
Welcome back to the Getting Ripped podcast. It's Wimbledon preview time. So we're going to look ahead to both the men's and women's singles side of the draw with our normal kind of quiz format. So we're going to kick it straight off with, it's probably quite a nice question, in homage to my favourite player. So obviously Novak's going for number 8 this year. What I want to know is, what is the record for the most men's Wimbledon singles titles? Is it 7, 8, 9, or 10?
I'm not even going to beat around the bush here, Ben, because we both know that I know the answer to this one. It's 8 because Roger Federer is the current holder of men's singles titles. So yeah, nice and simple. I think the fun thing about that is obviously this could be the reason. This could be the year that Roger Federer is no longer the greatest on grass.
Nah, I don't. I refuse. I refuse. Oh god, this makes me think back to the 2019 final. Like, if he'd have won that one, he would be on 9 and Djokovic would be on 6, and we wouldn't even have to have this conversation.
Final. That was a mental final.
And the fact he had 2 championship points in that final as well. Killed me inside. Yeah, so yeah, obviously it is 8. I don't know, like if Djokovic does claim an 8th, I think it's hard for him to end up winning 9, to be honest, because like another year he is 36 or whatever. It does make it, you just don't know if the injury is going to come up or what might happen. But yeah, if he does equal it, do we technically class him as good as Federer on grass? I mean, think of all the other titles Federer's won on grass. Is that, I don't know, what do you think of that?
I think that he would be as good as Federer on grass, because yeah, all right, Federer had a classic grass court game, but Djokovic's game is so usefully adaptable to all the surfaces, including grass, and to have a game that you can do that with, especially for grass, in my opinion, probably makes him almost better. Again, I know I'm offending someone here on the other side
Always.
of the world. Yeah, the big 3 or the big 4, am I right? But I think with Djokovic going for that 8th, we're going to look at it maybe the same way that we saw Sampras and Federer when Federer was going for that record equaling with Sampras, because we all sort of watched as Federer was trying to do it, and Sampras was sitting in a box watching him, which I thought was brilliant. Maybe we'll see the same again. Maybe Federer will be watching Djokovic from the box.
Well, Federer is there. I've seen some clips of him doing sort of ball boy related stuff, and I feel like is he doing any commentary? There was a lot of rumors about him doing commentary.
He said he's not. He said he's not, but I reckon maybe not commentary, maybe presenting.
Oh, keep an eye out for that.
You're going to give him a good gig, aren't you? You're not giving Federer like sort of a backroom gig. You're giving him,
Carl Roger, do the lighting.
He's just there with Hawkeye. He just sets the cameras up, puts a rig on.
I don't know. I'm still going to class Federer as the greatest on grass because I'm biased, but also I feel like in their peak, both of them in their peak, I still feel like Federer would have won. I don't know. It would have been very close, but I just feel like Federer, when he was serving at his best, hitting the forehands at his best, I just think he would just have enough to beat Novak. But
well, Federer's up there with the big guys for the most aces, and a large portion of that comes from his grass court matches. I know that Federer's in the top 5 for most aces on the ATP Tour, and you're talking about someone that's up there with the likes of Karlovic, Isner, obviously Isner being the top. You've got to be something special in a grass court player to sort of reach that statistic. So therefore, we could always argue, even Djokovic gets to 9 and Federer's stuck on 8. We could always argue, oh well, maybe it's different, but it's not a stat that people care about. So if we were going by popular choice, we're going to be having to say, if he does win this year, that Djokovic is the GOAT on grass as well as everything else.
Well, yeah, we're going to have plenty of people in the comments again saying Novak's the undisputed GOAT and all that, yeah. Depends how you define greatness.
Federer shouldn't even be drawn in the same breath as Djokovic.
Wow. The shade. My God.
Imagine.
All right, moving on. So let's move on to one of the new players on the block. One of the names on everyone's lips has been for a year now, and that is Alcaraz, who's actually the top seed heading into this tournament. Which is, it's always a bit kind of strange, I suppose, when you know that person is like not the strongest on grass. It's like, should you put the person who won it last year as a number 1? There's always that kind of debate. But anyway,
yeah.
Alcaraz is the top seed, and he's actually the first top seed not named Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, or Murray since what year? And your options are, you might have seen this one, 2000, 2001, 2003, or 2004.
I think it's 2003. I don't want to overthink this, but I think it's 2003.
Did you just see this somewhere on social media by any chance?
I think I did. I want to say that, but part of my brain is like niggling at me now. I'm trying to think about like when they all started and when they were all doing really well. I'm going to go with 2003. I'm pretty sure it is, but mental statistic, I think, and then also another reason, before you give the answer, another reason that Murray is in that top 4, the fact that he is part of that is enough to know that there was a top 4 throughout that period. I'm not saying that the last 5, 6, 7 years it was a top 4. I'm saying that there was that meaty period where he was up there with the best of them.
Oh, I knew you. Any little chance to bring that in?
Yeah, any chance, because it doesn't matter how many of you in the comments tell me that I am delusional, which maybe I am. I'm going to stick by the fact that he is up there.
Well, 2003 is correct. Yes. Good. So it's quite a nice little through line now, actually. 20 years exactly since. Yeah. Either of those big 4 were not the top seed heading into Wimbledon. So, wow. Yeah, I think that's when Federer won his first Wimbledon, 2003, which is bonkers, really. I remember watching that on TV as like a little kid. I don't know, was I 6 or 7 at the time, beating Philippoussis with that the classic serve and volley game. But yeah, I think, so my question here is actually, does Alcaraz actually have a decent chance of winning Wimbledon? It looks like he's adjusted a little bit to the grass. Obviously, had a good run at Queen's last week, winning the title. Looks like his movements adjusted a bit. His returns to me seem a bit stronger. How far can he get, or is he going to come up unstuck again against Novak?
I can't see him beating Novak on grass. I can't see that. He's not good enough yet. Because having watched Queens, especially having watched that final with de Minaur, it wasn't. This is going to sound really harsh. Me, who is not a top tennis player, talking about top tennis players.
That's what we do.
But, it's kind of what we do. It didn't feel like I was watching a match of who's better. It felt like I was watching a match of who's worse in that match. De Minaur was not spectacular at all. So Alcaraz did not have to, and certainly did not play that well in order to beat him. Again, and I'm not saying that in terms of the world of tennis. Of course, they were still playing good tennis, but comparative to the level that you should expect in a Queen's final, It was not the level that I would expect. It's not something that I would have seen, say, Andy Murray versus Nadal, for example, if that were to ever have happened. That would have been sensational. This was not that. De Minaur's a great runner, but he was missing sitters, which I couldn't get my head around. There was like one block volley and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, exactly. Alcaraz did not have to play well in order to win that. So I'm not convinced. That to me does not say he's got what it takes to go all the way. But obviously, he's top of the draw. So of course he's got a chance.
So what are we saying? Like last year, I think he got to the fourth round. He lost to Sinner, if I'm not mistaken. This year he does, even though he's not perfect, he does look better than he did last year, and obviously that's a better run-in than he had last year. Like even in the first round last year, which I was there for, like he was he was nearly knocked out in the first round. He was sort of struggling a little bit to adjust, and he was still refining. But he's still refining parts of his game in terms of like shot selection and when to come in. Seems to have refined that a little bit. So what are we looking at this year? Like semi-finals, maybe?
Maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make second week. That's really harsh, I know, for someone who's just won the premier run-up tournament to Wimbledon. But he's not a grass player yet. He's not shown anyone yet what it takes to win Wimbledon. I haven't seen it. But that's not to say he didn't have it in a locker. Maybe he has improved that much, and maybe he has it in a locker, and he's just not had a reason to show it. Because again, like I say, De Minaur was not playing well in that final match, I don't think.
So what does he need to improve
it remains
if he is
to be
win
seen.
it? Did you catch
It's
that?
bringing some of that clay flair to the grass, yeah. So it's the movement for me. When it comes to grass courts, for example, like that, like the movement's so different. Sliding's not so much done. It's more about hard stops. This is why Andy Murray did so well for so long. In terms of, as you're talking about, the serve and volley based game, I'm not saying that Alcaraz is bad at that, but that's not what he's sort of pro at the most on the tour, for example. He's very good at building, and he's very good at moving people off the court, which is not as much something you do on grass. He also, I don't think he has that out wide serve that you need on the grass. That's pretty much your bread and butter ace. Not the same way that some of these other guys do. I'm not saying he doesn't have it. Again, of course, he's a top player. He's number one in the world right now. Of course he's got that. But I don't think he's able to bring it out enough at those crucial moments. So, again, that I could easily be wrong, though. We always talk about this. I could very easily be wrong.
Yeah, it does sound harsh, but it's kind of true, really. He's still looking to make some of those adjustments. I think he still has a bit of a wind up sometimes, too much of a wind up on his ground strokes as well, where realistically on grass you haven't got that much time, and obviously like a skid's a bit lower, even though the difference in surfaces is not as much as it used to be. There's still an adjustment there that needs to be made.
But that was the issue with the Queen's final. I don't feel like either of them had timing. Not the timing that they could have. Again, like the quality they can play at. Again, like you see one match with one of these guys playing their best tennis ever. For example, I constantly throw myself back to how Alcaraz played in that Madrid 1000, where he beat both Nadal and Djokovic in consecutive days. That's Carlos Alcaraz. I've not seen that on grass yet. I've not seen anything close to that.
But you will have people say that Nadal and Djokovic weren't playing their best at that time. There's always caveats to all these things.
But the reason that they've been champions for so long is that even when those guys, specifically now I'm going to say that there's a big three on this specific parameter, those three, Federer, Nadal and Djokovic, they were capable of winning when they were not playing very well. We talk about this in football a lot. A team is really dangerous when they're winning and you go, but they're not playing that well. When you can get over the line, but you're not producing your best, that is the mark of a true champion, I think. It's one of the key things you look for over the career to get that consistency. So, he's definitely got some of that, but it's just whether it's enough. for the grass at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what we'd be looking for if people want to see Novak being knocked out. I think it's got to be in the early rounds. Otherwise, he just finds the gears, and then once you get to the second week, it's just game over, really. Anyway, so let's move on to the women's side. Another player who's the top seed, but is somewhat shaky on the grass, doesn't have the best grass court record, is of course Iga Swiatek. What I want to know simply is, what is her best performance at Wimbledon? So what's the furthest she's got? And your options are the third round, the fourth round, the quarters, or the semi-finals.
Good question. I think it's the quarters. But I tell you what, after watching Breakpoint, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Just confused us.
Honestly, I don't even know what they look like anymore. No, it's not that bad. But it was quite bad. No, anyway. Yeah, a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the quarters. I'm not going to dwell on it because I don't have a better answer, but my intuition's saying that.
Get a grip. It's the fourth round. There you go. Not even as good as that. So, yeah, obviously
Was it Tom Lanovich who beat her in the fourth round?
Oh, I can't remember. It wasn't last year, was it? It must have been the year before. She lost to Elise Cornet last year, I think. Which was, I feel like that was the third round even. So, yeah, it might have been. So, yeah, obviously she has improved a little bit on the grass this season. I think she got to the semi-finals of one of the lead-up tournaments. But she is in the top half of the draw, so she is away from the other big two. But, of course, there are other names that are lurking there. I don't know, what do we feel is the best that she can do? Obviously, we said the same for Alcaraz, but there's an uncertainty there, but there's also, I don't know, in her eyes, maybe not that much pressure because she doesn't have the greatest expectations on grass.
No, so right, she's not really tough way to say this, but she's not defending points really. This tournament is sort of there's no great loss no matter what happens. If she does lose early on, it's only a few points that she's lost, and it's probably not enough to change what's going on at the moment in those rankings so much. But at the same time, she will be expecting to perform because like I say, all of these big events, she's turning up and she's bringing that A game. I'm hoping to see her do well. I'd quite like to see her do well. I haven't seen a reason not to do well. I don't know if I'm a massive fan of how she comes forward so much, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Yeah,
she's a very strong baseline player. And she maybe doesn't quite have her serve's decent, but maybe not good enough to get as many free points as you would like. Obviously when you're looking at the other two in the big three, clearly they've got big serves, but I don't think any of them particularly move forward that well, to be honest. I think it's still quite a baseline game on the women's side, even on grass. So, I mean, that may not hinder her that much. But again, I don't know. I think, movement as well. Obviously, clay is her strongest surface, and, moving in and out of shots, like we said, is very different in terms of the sliding, although Djokovic seems to be able to slide on grass, which is just crazy. But, I don't know. I think maybe the pressure off will just free her up a little bit. Not that she needs freeing up. She still bagels people, but I don't know. I feel like semi-finals is probably a reasonable shout. But then if she gets that far, then why can't she go further, really? She hasn't got those other big two in the same half, so I don't know. But I still think it will come from the other side and probably one of those big two. But that's just
probably. I mean, that'll be the match to watch when you see a Sabalenka and Rybakina, like when you see them meet.
If you see it,
I think it's a win. Personally, I'd say it's a win. Again, could be wrong, but for me, it's a win. I think Sabalenka has found a bit more form, a bit more of a run of consistency, and she's still got that just that strength behind her. When things go wrong, she ramps it up, which, you know, it's not always the best thing, because sometimes you can ramp it up too much and you're like, well, there's nowhere else to go. You're just going to start hitting it out now. But, you know, having that on the grass, such a weapon, just to get a few extra mile an hour, just take that timing away. So I'm quite excited to see what she can produce at this tournament, actually.
That leads me on to the fourth question, which is, you know, should Swiatek make it to the final, she might come up against Rybakina, one of those other big three players. What I want to know is, what is the head-to-head record between Swiatek and Rybakina? So, your options are 2-2, 2-1 to Rybakina, 3-2 to Rybakina, or 3-1 to Rybakina. So all in favour of Rybakina. I've said that word a lot. It's starting to sound a bit weird now. But yes, because I think you probably do know that the head-to-head is in her favour. But just how much is it in her favour?
Yeah. Well, this is where you come down to it, right? We're talking about Swiatek as being the promising one for being in charge of everything. And yet she's not beaten one of her main competitors more times than she's been beaten by her. So, you know, this is where that big three dynamic, it comes in real handy. And I'll tell you what, having three like Sabalenka, Rybakina, and Swiatek, it's a statistician's dream, because they're all a bit different, but they've all got some characteristics that lead to some similar statistics. And then when you're talking about, again, stuff like the head-to-heads, it's very, very nice, which makes for nice meaty content for us. So shan't complain. It's 3-1. I'm fairly certain it's 3-1 in favour of Rybakina, unless my memory's completely shot. But they've met 4 times. I know that.
Oh wow! Straight in there. I thought that one might be a little bit tricky. Yes, it is 3-1. So on hard courts, it's 2-0 to Rybakina. The only match that Swiatek's won was an indoor one. But they have never played on grass. Of course, Rybakina is probably, I mean, in my eyes, she's the favourite for the tournament. But again, she has had illness.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe because she won it last year. But she's not exactly coming into it on solid footing compared to maybe last year, because she's had illness, and I think she has some kind of injury or something. There's a doubt over whether she was even going to play. So it's not all kind of rosy in the Rybakina camp. But I think, I still put her as my favourite. You know, serve is just ridiculous. Like it's pretty much like a serve on the men's side, like the speed and the accuracy as well. And obviously big game off the ground as well. So, I think Sabalenka, obviously that matchup, if it does happen in the semi-final, that's going to be a big test, I think, actually, for her. Because obviously Sabalenka didn't play last year because of the whole banning Russian players thing, but we'll brush over that. Yeah. So, do you put her as favourite? Can you see anyone beating her?
Yeah, Sabalenka.
That's it. That's the only player.
For me, again, statistically, that's the only player for me. But again, it's never out of the question on the grass, especially in a women's game where they only play 3 sets at most. You know, anything can happen in those matches, which is why in my head I'd quite like to see 5 sets make a show in a women's draw. Okay, there's not enough courts, but there's always a way around this sort of thing. I think I have the answer, but maybe that's a discussion for another podcast. Not fast 4. Oh, don't make me sick.
Fast 4, but best of 5. Probably almost the same amount of games. No. You're probably right. I still think there's still this lingering possibility that, you know, some of them could get knocked out early anyway. Especially on grass, I feel like if someone serves well, and maybe they're having a good day and at the net as well, and they're moving forward a lot, there's you can always kind of put someone's rhythm off. There's less time you have on the ball. So I think that there's still a chance that a couple of them maybe could get knocked out early. But, you know, if once they kind of get into the 3rd, 4th round, you feel like they're in the groove and it's pretty much, all roads lead to the semi-final, final. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So, last question. This one's obviously in there just for you. An Andy Murray question.
Oh, good.
So, he obviously has a pretty good record at Wimbledon. Maybe not so much in recent years because of the injury in the hip. But what I want to know is how many Wimbledon semi-finals has Andy Murray made over the years?
Ooh.
So, your options are 5, 6, 7, or 8.
5, 6, 7, or 8. Oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure.
Come on, Andy's number one fan. Don't you know every stat about him?
Number one fan. I'm not his number one fan. Just trying to think. There's Yuri. 1, 2, 3.
Well, yeah,
see,
obviously.
I've gone through that heartbreak so many times, right? And I'm going to justify this for not knowing. I've gone through that heartbreak of him not making that final enough times that I think I've blocked it out based on trauma. Along with the rest of the British islands.
Definitely before he won the first one, there was a lot of trauma.
Yeah, that was a rough one. Yeah, oh God. So it is a tough one.
What are you sort of torn between two, or are you just completely lost?
I think I'm looking at the middle. 6 or 7. I don't like it. I don't like this question because I feel like I should know it. I'll go with 6, but it feels wrong.
Final answer?
Oh, I guess it has to be. Otherwise, I'm just going to say and ah for a while.
Get a grip. It is actually 7.
Oh, damn it.
Have some faith in your boy.
I should have backed him. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, most of those semi-final losses have come to the other, big 3 players or big 4 players, whatever you want to call them. Obviously making, 3 finals? He lost to Federer, and then he won the 2013 one, and then he obviously won the 2016 one. But I always remember in the earlier days that he'd come up against like Nadal or something when Nadal was like imperious, and you're just like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah.
But that is still a pretty solid record. Like even to just make 7 Grand Slam semi-finals is like a really good achievement. So 7 at one tournament. Obviously, it was like one of his favorite tournaments. But yeah, it leads me on to this question of how well can he do this time? He's just played a practice set against Novak and beaten 6-2. So is he going to win it?
Don't toy with me like this. He's not going to win it. If he wins it, what's a ridiculous thing I can do if he wins it? Because I will take that bet right now. Because I will do it. I will do something horrendous if he wins it because I'll be that happy.
You have to do the next podcast. Well, the podcast afterwards you have to do with your top off.
Deal. Yeah.
It's probably easy, actually, really.
The Wimbledon review. If Andy Murray wins, I will do the Wimbledon review topless.
I should have said shave your head or something. That would have been proper annoying.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, so I'll tell you what. I don't think he's going to win it, but I do think he could do quite well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get to the 3rd round. I would be surprised. I think he's got that fight in him. The draw's not shocking for him. He's got an okay first match, playing a fellow Brit he's beaten recently quite comfortably as well. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just excited to watch him play on grass, to be honest, because it's almost like a childhood memory. And as I was saying about the trauma, it's like a childhood memory of me watching him play on grass and the sort of tense, sweaty feeling that you get watching him play, where you're just like, okay, why haven't you won this set yet? And then he just about wins that set. And then you're like, okay, so it's okay. He'll just win the next few. And then it's like really tight again. So he often gave you that tension factor in all of his matches, especially at Wimbledon. And throughout all that, he constantly delivered on both the entertainment and the consistency there. So, yeah, you can't count him out. You can never count Murray out. And I think the fact that he did badly at Queen's is enough for people to go, oh, Murray's not going to do well at all. And that's what he needs to fuel him. I think people saying he's not going to do it is exactly what makes him do it.
That underdog, that British underdog mentality, or, you know, trying to prove people wrong, definitely a powerful motivator.
How do you think he won it in the first place? He spent probably 5 years of people going, oh, he's just another Tim Henman. He won't make it. Oh, yeah, the Daily Mail, the Sun, all of that, slashing him. Oh, he's not going to do well, shocking, and all that, blah, blah, blah. Like, the weight of that must have been awful. To turn it around and then use it, what a skill.
Yeah, we love a bit of negativity in Britain. Putting people down. Yeah, I think he'll do well to make the quarterfinals second week. The thing that's been annoying me is that, like, he can beat a lot of these top guys, but he drops sets when he shouldn't do, and then the matches go on longer than they should do, and then he can't recover as well as he should do, and then it leads to him not playing as well as he could do in the next match. So can he get through some matches in like 3 sets or 4 sets? I know it's going to help that it's grass, because the sets should be a bit quicker and the points should be a bit shorter, so that will favour him. So I think, yeah, it's probably going to come down to his serve, actually, probably more than anything else. I think like when his serve's on, like he could get through a match pretty quick. Big time. Can he find consistency on that serve, especially early on? Yeah, I think realistically probably like 4th round, but I'm hoping he makes like the quarters or semis just for old time's sake. That would be nice.
I would adore it. If he made second week, I'd be very, very happy. Very, very happy. Just because, again, great story. It's such a great story to have undergone everything he has, comes back to his favourite tournament, and it gets to enjoy that, you know. But
could be the last time.
Again, I'm a realist. Sorry?
Could be the last time. Who knows?
Could be the last time. Well, he has mentioned about that retirement date. Yeah, it's a very sad thought.
Yeah. So on the men's and women's side, are there any other kind of dark horses that you see potentially winning it, or is it just going to be the kind of the normal names?
I think in the men's there's not going to be any surprises, but I would say with the women's, Petri Kvitova, she's won a grass court warm-up tournament. She's always been quite handy. She's won a couple Wimbledons. I would not be surprised to see her do quite well. Someone who's a veteran on grass, again, it's the place to be a veteran, because the movement is not necessarily the key thing. Your timing, how you deal with the grass, how you go forward, for example, that style of game. So yeah, hopefully we see a good run from her at the very least.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Yeah, she just got that nice around the grass, and obviously she's got a pretty decent serve as well. So she's probably one of the key ones to look out for. On the men's side, yeah, it's almost a bit boring. It's like, it's probably going to be Novak, and everyone knows it. So, like, is anyone going to make it? I don't know, to the semis that we're not expecting. Maybe someone like Sinner. I don't see Medvedev doing that well, to be honest. Even though he's like the 3rd seed, I don't know. I just don't think he has the timing on the grass. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, what I do know is that, you know, number 1 place in the men's is up for grabs at this tournament. It depends, and Medvedev is in that running, along with Alcaraz and Djokovic. Djokovic has got the easiest run. He just has to make it to the 3rd round, and he's back to number 1. So, you know, it's going to be interesting in that sense. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't really see Medvedev bringing a brilliant game, but you never know. He's got a point to prove. They banned him last year. So it would be quite nice if he came along and won it.
Yeah,
that would
just
be a
him
nice
specifically.
big middle finger.
They just banned him only.
Yeah, well, that's why we need Sabalenka to win it as well.
Yeah, well, there will be motivation for them at least, so could help. Yeah, Who else is? I suppose Fritz did quite well last year, but he just seems to be out of form a little bit. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe lacking a bit of confidence. And then like Kyrgios, if he'd had like a run in, done sort of reasonably well at a tournament or two before, then I would have backed him to go quite far again. But again, I'm just not really sure where he's at. Obviously, he does have like one of the best serves ever. So, you know, if he finds a bit of form, who knows? Could go quite far. But yeah, it's annoyingly a little bit predictable, really. Like, I just don't see who can challenge Novak, especially if he gets through those first few rounds, which can be a bit tricky. But yeah, let us know your predictions on the men's and women's side. Any dark horses or people that are going to make a deep run that maybe we've not talked about. And if you've liked it, obviously give us a follow on the different podcast platforms, and on YouTube, like it, share it around, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.